Hey everybody, this is Jade Buford. About to do a quick lap and turn by turn with some rough braking points, general apexes, and general throttle points around NCM Motorsports Park. Here we're driving a 458 challenge car just so you can reference some of the speeds and braking points to what you're driving. So let's just get started. We'll do a turn by turn, and then at the end, if we have time, we'll do a quick lap with commentary. So starting on the front straight, accelerating down. General braking for most cars is going to be right around here, around start finish. You have your signboards over here to the right. Some cars can go as deep or past the foreboard, but kind of a general area, especially if you're new to the track, start around start finish. It's usually adequate for making turns 1A and getting through 1B smoothly. Coming down to 1A, so here I broke around the foreboard, trailing that brake in, starting that turn in a little soon. It's perfectly fine here, and leave it up to everyone's own discretion. A lot of people use this curb here at turn in 1A. If you have a very, very low car with a low splitter, may be wise not to use that curb. You'll see that in this car. I do avoid it just because it's very smooth, but at the same time, it could rub it. And if it's not worth it, it may not be necessary. It's not worth a whole lot of speed. So turning into 1A, trailing that brake all the way in, even doing another little brake, brush of the brake here, kind of set the nose. And the trick for 1B is just getting the car turned in as short a distance as possible. So get it turned through here. That way, just after apex, you can start unwinding the wheel and squeezing back to the power. Coming in nice and tight to the curb, unwind the wheel, feeding that power back in. Most cars are flat all the way through the kink here. Let's back that up just a little bit. General braking for most cars is going to be around the 3 board to the 2 board. Just make sure you're getting that car positioned to the left, get all your braking done in a straight line. That way you can just focus on turning into turns 2. And what's most important in turn 2 is the exit. So getting most of that braking done in a straight line. Trailing that brake almost right here, just helping it turn that car, work it down to that apex. So by this point, you're just able to unwind the wheel and start squeezing back to the power. It's pretty common. A lot of people try to focus on the second curb out here to the right, just past where my line is being drawn. It's not really necessary. It doesn't have to work it all the way back down. It's just about unwinding the wheel and building that momentum up off the corner. So let the car track out, let that wheel unwind, and don't try to hustle it back down to that curb back there to the right. Just let it track out here to the left. Building up that speed all the way through turns 3 and 4. Pretty much every car is going to be flat through here, or can be flat, but baby steps and just being smooth will help build that confidence. Heading to turn 5, a lot of people like to try to tuck the car to the left here, but it's not really worth a whole lot to do that. You're just making it a sharper turn back, and again, it's just probably best just to kind of find a compromise a little farther to the left, but not really. It doesn't have to be all the way. Straighten those hands. A good rough braking marker is maybe a little bit before the 3 board. Sometimes you can go a little past it, but if you find yourself struggling to release the brake on turn into 5, then you need to adjust your braking point. Because turn 5 is all about extending the previous straightaway. It leads right into another braking zone. So the exit isn't really worth a lot. It's just about being smooth and rolling speed into turn 5. So here I'm giving about myself a car width to the left just because it's not worth it trying to hustle the car over there for a wider entry. Again, because it doesn't go anywhere. It's just all about being smooth and making sure that I can stay full throttle through the right and left during turns 3 and 4. Trailing that brake in. The curb here is a really good guide. around this corner. And stay nice and tight. Those right side tires all the way around it. And the track is naturally going to push you back out into your braking zone, right where you want to be. Back to the throttle very briefly, but once I get my hands straight, general rule of thumb for most cars, I don't focus a whole lot on the braking points. Depending on the speed you're carrying, once you get that wheel straight, it's usually a pretty good idea to go right back to that brake. If you overslow the corner, it probably just means you can roll a little bit more speed through 5, but all that will sort itself out eventually. Good, firm on the brakes, trailing that brake in. Again, although this corner leads into another corner pretty shortly after, this corner sets off this whole next section. So it's all about getting the car turned in as short a distance as possible so we can open our hands on the exit and start building up that momentum off turn 6. So come in nice and tight and keep it tight until you can start opening your hands up off the corner. Let the car track out all the way to the left, building up that momentum. Most cars here for turn 7 is going to be a brush of the brake or just a lift. If you're not sure of it, brush the brake. Get it slowed down a little bit, but make sure you're getting down to that apex. And at the apex here, you're going to feel a little bit of a compression. Start that turn in nice and slow. Ease it into the corner. And that compression is going to be right about here. Kind of want that car nice and pointed by that point. Coming down to our apex. Right here again, taking a look at it. Some people let the car track out all the way to the left. Some people try to keep it all the way tight to the right. I think the best compromise is kind of right in the middle. So that way you're just not sacrificing. No corner through here is more important than the other one. You're just trying to get through there as smoothly and as quickly as possible. So let the car track out a little bit, just not a whole lot. For turn 8, it's important to brush the brake before you get to the corner. The later and later you wait, if you try to charge, you're going to end up killing your rolling speed. So right around here, brush that brake. You can already see I'm starting to bend my hands into the corner. So trailing that brake in a little bit. As I add more steering, I ease off more brake pressure, and then just follow the curb around turn 8 until the hill crest. And then when the hill crest, then start opening your hands and squeezing back to the power. You should have the car turned by that point. Coming in, right here, the hill crest, I start to open my hands. I can see what's ahead of me now, and I can judge whether I got the car turned or not enough. I got the car turned enough so I can start going back to that power. Let the car track out all the way to the right, and then kind of keep it over there. Follow the next curb around as well. So all the way out to the right. Turn 9 curb is kind of your guide around here. And kind of the same, we're going to use the same trick that we used in turn 8. As the road crest, we're going to straighten the wheel again. And that's going to set us up nicely for our braking zone into turn 10. So right here, we're going to draw a straight line. You can't quite see them yet, but they're there. Straight line down into our braking zone. And the braking markers are actually on the left side of the road. A lot of people try to keep the car pinched to the right. If you're in a higher horsepower car, that's going to be very, very difficult to do because you might get light over that crest. And then as you're going into your braking zone, now you have to add a whole lot more steering into the corner. You're trying to do the braking all at the same time. Going to make your life a lot more difficult. Draw a straight line, follow the braking signs in, and get that braking done quickly in a straight line as you come into turn 10. Coming in, general braking points going to be maybe a little before the 4-board or just a little bit after it, depending on what car you're in. Some cars can go almost to the 3-board, but it again depends on what you're driving and the speed that you're carrying into the corner. But same rule of thumb, we want to get most of our braking done in a straight line, which is going to be a very short period of time through here. But then we're going to hold a tighter radius. We're going to let the kind of diamond the corner off, draw 2 straight lines in, and then do our best to draw a straight line out. So here, Here's your braking point, coming in all the way out to the curb on the exit. And you can see how much of a straighter line that is than what this would be if you were coming in from out here. You have to do a whole lot more turning. You're also traveling a lot more distance. So it's best to just set yourself up to the left side of the road, follow in the braking markers, and then let the car track out to the outside and then diamond it back for turn 10. It's very similar to like Oak Tree at VIR if you've ever been there. Coming in good and firm on the brakes. Try to get all your turning done in a shorter period of time. There's no amount of speed that you can roll through turn 10 that will make up for hurting the exit. Dive it back down to that apex, and then just focus on opening your hands quickly off the corner, which will allow you to go back to the throttle faster. So down to that apex, open those hands, and let that car track out. Building up that speed. Set yourself up kind of left here. That's kind of your general line. You want those left side tires close, generally close to that edge on the left, and the car parallel for your braking point. This corner is called Deception, and it's one of the more notorious corners at NCM for incidents. And that's because a lot of people will let the car track out over here, and then they're trying to ask the car to do a whole lot of work and turn a very, very sharp corner. And right there at apex, the road crests, and you lose all your grip if you're not pointed in the right direction. So we're set up to the left. Going to do a brush the brake. You can see I'm already starting to bend my hands into the corner very slowly, which will allow me to trail that brake deeper into the corner. Here, talking about that apex. Got it pointed, so all is good. I'm pointed down the road, and treat this corner like the beginning of the straightaway. It's very fast, but the exit is what's important. You can see a lot of rubber residue that leads off the track over there, and that's because people take it too shallow of an entry, and what they're doing is they're hurting their exit, and they're also putting themselves at more risk of running off the road. As you're at the apex here, it's okay to let the car track out all the way to the left. Let it track all the way out to the left. Don't feel like you have to hustle it a whole lot back to the right for the next bend to the left. And it does crest here at apex, but most cars are generally flat or close to flat. If you want to do a little bit of a confidence breathe, it's perfectly fine. Won't hurt you that much. So let the car track out to the left. Set yourself up for the bend to the left. Let the car track out all the way to the right. Only thing about tabletop here is just make sure you got your hands nice and straight as you're coming into the corner. Get most of that turning done. So right here at the crest, you can straighten that wheel for just a second. Get this wheel straight. For Faux Rouge, I always recommend start off braking. Do a brake here before you turn into the left-hander, and then right back to the brakes as you straighten the wheel for the long right-hander. Eventually, a lot of cars, you can do it with just a breathe on entry, but it's definitely one of those corners you take baby steps leading up to it, because it's a big consequence, this corner, if you get it wrong. So coming in, brush that brake maybe, do a breathe, good and firm on the brakes through here. The grass, and you can see all the rubbers on the side of the track. Don't try to put any effort to getting the car out to the left there after the fast kink. Just follow in the grass, and it's going to be your guide. The edge of the road will be your guide all the way around this corner. Coming in nice and tight, and keep it tight. Following that grass around, following the curb around, and then at the end of the curb, start letting the car track out. Turn 17 is a pretty tricky corner. The more people get tricked is they try to charge the corner and brake too late. Brake early here. That way you can release the brakes sooner as you're turning in, and it allows you to roll more speed into the corner. Turn 17 is a deceptively fast corner. So right around the 3 board, straighten that wheel, brush that brake, easing it back. This would be your true apex of the corner, right here. And then right at that point, you're going to be able to see what I always like to get people to focus on, and that would be this signboard out here in the distance. So right out here. See that 3 board? Get your eyes on that as soon as you can, and that's roughly where you should be looking. And that's kind of your track out point as well. So from here, unwinding the wheel, tracking all the way out, right to that 3 board, setting yourself up to the left with the carousel. I've seen a lot of people diamond this off. My recommendation would be kind of just stay in the middle, just stay nice and smooth on entry here. Do a brush of the brake before you get to the corner, and then just let it roll. So come in, brush of the brake, and that is our best line. Coming in, brush of the brake, and then just ride it around, kind of about a car width and a half off the right side of the road, and not all the way out to the left either. So turning in around the 1 board, about a car width off the inside. The main thing that is important here is by this crest, you got the car pointed down the hill, so you can draw a nice straight line and build up some speed. If you still are doing a lot of turning by this point, stay away from the throttle. Wait for that wheel to unwind, and then you can go back to it. And also then try to change your line a little bit so you can get a straighter shot down the hill, because you need that shot down the hill to build up some speed to carry it through the next left-hander at the bottom of the sinkhole. Building that speed, tap the brake down here, but it's okay to roll some good speed up the hill because you're constantly shaving speed. If the car tends to wash out, my recommendation would be not to fight it, just let it roll, and you can do some maintenance throttle as well as if you've overslowed it going up the hill. Little maintenance throttle for turns 21 to 23. Just be nice and smooth on the throttle. Usually doesn't require a lot of brake, but some tips around here is for keep yourself tight to the first curb on the left. Turn back earlier than you think you need to for the second curb on the right. Keep the car in the middle of the track after that second curb, back to and tight to the third curb. And set yourself up for the best exit down the straightaway. So tight to the curb on the left. Turning back earlier than we think we need to. We're going to let the car track about midway. Breathe off the throttle. Keep it tight to the left. That way we can set ourselves up for a good exit back down the front straight. And we'll go backtrack. We'll do a quick lap with commentary. So heading down the front straight, setting ourselves up for our braking zone. Going to be roughly around the start-finish line. Little late, firm on the brakes, easing it back. Brushing that brake, setting the nose, getting that turning done in as short a distance as possible. Nice and smooth back to the throttle. Follow the curb around, letting the car track back out to the left. Good and firm on the brakes, trailing that brake in. Getting it turned by apex so I can unwind the wheel, let the car track out all the way to the left. Building that speed through turns 3 and 4. For turn 5, we don't need to get the car set up all the way to the left. But straighten that wheel, good brush to the brake, easing it back, follow that curb around. It's going to push you naturally back to where you want to be. Wheel straight, right back to the brakes. That car turned in as short a distance as possible so you can unwind the wheel, start building up momentum. Nice breathe off, wait for the compression. Stay in the middle, brush the brake early, get down to that curb. At the crest, unwind the wheel. Follow the curb around in turn 9, straighten the hands over the crest. Follow the brake signs in, firm on the brakes, let it track back out, park it, turn it, wait, and then shoot off the corner. Bring the car back to the left, nice and parallel to the left side. Brush the brake in early, unwind the wheel, nice and smooth back to the power. Let it track out all the way to the right. Setting ourselves up for tabletop, get it turned, hand straight over the crest. Beau Rouge, breathe off the throttle, brush the brake, good and firm on the brakes after the kink. Hold it tight around the grass. The track will naturally push you back out to the left. Brush the brake early. Ease it back. Find the 3 board, drive to it. Brush the brake. Ease it back. Just roll speed. Nice and smooth. In the middle is okay. Just get it pointed for down the hill. Good shot of the throttle. Tap the brakes, set the nose. Don't fight the car if it wants to wash out a little bit. Tuck it back to the left at the top of the hill. Back to the right early. Squeeze back to the throttle, off the throttle. Tuck it to the left. Setting yourself up for the best exit down the front straight. Okay, guys, that's a quick turn-by-turn of NCM Motorsports Park. Hope that was helpful. Thank you.